Chapter 48. The team in Sweden set out north for Jiko. Dharma led the riders up country through low-amplitude, long-wavelength land, shrouded in emerald forests. The river they followed came into higher country where the water went low, and the valley walls rose broad in wide berth. The riders trimmed the treetops, followed the slow snake of the valley. The sun was slowly leaking over the west rim of the valley. Dharma veered off the river, up the slope of the valley, and gradually the riders crested a peak. The river went right, and the riders paused at the summit, looking north. The land stretched before them, seeming never to meet the horizon. The colors of the trees and hills were defined and had simply slipped into the sky. "Is this the end of the world?" Adam asked. "Not quite," Dharma answered. "First, Jiko." The riders continued, crawled the climbing latitude, north across the vast golden green sea of flat plains, scattered pine trees, blue-gray rocks tied to the blue-gray overcast sky. This colossal, bowl-like cradle crossed into the great unknown. All is ambiguous here. They came to the end of the great bowl and ascended into dense forested, shadowy pines. Slowly, they crept through the woods, gliding and looking over their shoulders. "I know it's near here somewhere," Dharma said. "It's been some time since I've paid a visit to Brother Jiko." "What's near here somewhere?" Adam asked apprehensively. It was getting very dark within this densely covered pine bough forest, firs looming left and right. "The fortress of the elves," Dharma whispered. "It's a grand stone castle. You can't miss it, though it is a bit tucked back in one of these ravines." The riders searched the forest slowly. "Dharma," Ubuntu said, with sudden piercing gravity. As Ubuntu slowly approached a glen in the hills, Dharma came up slowly to her side. Their faces rang with horror, furrowed confusion. Ubuntu looked to Dharma. Adam and Maya came behind them, examining the scene. "What happened?" Dharma said, descending on a narrow tongue of old entrance to the glen. Before her stood an ancient fortress, abandoned, covered in moss and vine. The left wall had completely caved in, porous gray stone enclaves cracking, crumbling into pieces. The structure was grand at one point, covering the entire clearing in the forest. Now it stood in pieces. Near the center grew a sapling clinging to a large granite megalith. Dharma and Ubuntu sifted through the rubble. Dharma ran her hand along the fallen stone. "What happened?" Dharma asked, only so it was asked. Ubuntu gazed into the ruins. A bobcat came out. "Jiko can't be," Dharma started. "No, not the mighty Jiko," Ubuntu said with strength. "There's only one way to find out," Dharma said, looking at Ubuntu. The riders navigated through the forest, coming to a cliff at its outer edge. Below, another bowl, full of gray and green, and rising foothills that spiked the landscape. "There," Dharma said, pointing. "Old Jiko still stands." Maya looked out and faintly saw a single fir tree standing in the distance. Yes, I see it. I see Jiko, Maya said. Aye, now let's see who is protecting it, Dharma said. The riders descended one by one from the cliff to the field leading up to old Jiko. Slowly they approached the tree, scanning the landscape, hoping to find some sign of security. If Jiko lives, he would not allow the sacred tree to stand unguarded, Dharma said. They crouched behind a small cliff, a stone's throw away from old Jiko. That's the great old Jiko? Adam asked. I thought it'd be bigger. It's called Old Jiko, not Big Jiko, Ubuntu said. Why don't you go up there? Then you'll see the real Big Jiko. Sure, I'll touch the tree, Adam said, getting up to go. I don't think you will, Ubuntu said, but yes, get on with it. Maybe I should go, Dharma said. Shh, shh, Ubuntu hushed her. Adam crept out into the open, stepping onto his board. He slowly and carefully approached. The tree was just a regular old fir, kind of decrepit looking. Adam relaxed his hunched crouch to a slight bend in his back. He drew closer to the tree. He looked back at the other 5. He stood up straight, relaxed on gliding, swishing board, and casually approached the inner circle of the tree. Guys, it's fine, Adam called back. That's not a good thing, Maya shouted. Suddenly, something swooped in from the sky, and instantly a vicious polar bear came thundering onto the ground before the tree. Roaring, running rampant, the giant white beast charged at Adam with slobbering, festering jaws. Jiko, Dharma shouted. Maya looked at her. Ubuntu cheered. Adam turned and sprinted. He mounted his board and sped to the group behind the cliff. Ubuntu passed him running. Adam turned in confusion and continued speeding to safety. Dharma followed close behind Ubuntu, who was running toward the beast. They sprinted at the big white bear. Ubuntu morphed into a leopard and happy gallop. Dharma did the same, changing into her snow leopard and catching up to Ubuntu. One by one they mauled the bear with joy and wrestled him to the ground. The bear roared and tried to throw the felines off him, but they pounced and bit his neck. He roared in pain, but shortly his roar changed into something different, some lighter words in the polar bear language. Jiko? Maya said to Adam. I guess that's Jiko, Adam said, shrugging. The puppets and the junior riders came out from behind the rock. The huge bear tossed the little leopards off him, turning into less big form of a giant man. The leopards did the same. Ah, said Jiko, still roaring. So good to see my little sisters. Dare I say you've gotten stronger, Jiko said, rubbing his neck where the teeth marks were. He was a grizzly man, but as a polar grizzly man, tall, broad, solid, everything. He wore a wild smile that competed with his wild beard for airtime. His hair was long and tangled. What on earth happened to your fortress? Dharma urged, as she gestured in the direction of the forest they just came from. Oh yes, I can explain, Jiko said. Well, first we relocated due west, just inside of Norway. It's prettier. No one ever cares to attack old Jiko. We have time to commute. About that, Ubuntu said. Or maybe they never had the balls, Jiko said. But anyway, we're undefeated, the elves and me. We can't be beat. In the ruins? Dharma peered. Right, Jiko blushed. Well, we threw a banger of a going away party, So the place is destroyed, Dharma said, with head held forward and arms spread wide. It's literally in ruins. They don't call me Jiko the Great for nothing, Jiko said. Who calls you that? Ubuntu asked. The elves, Jiko said. What worthy person calls you that? Ubuntu said. The elves are strong, Jiko laughed. I am strong. Look at the fortress. Come on. Anyways, I couldn't have anyone squatting in the great fortress of Jiko. It had to be destroyed. Come on, Jiko said. I'll show you the new fortress. It's more than a fortress. It's a dale. I can turn into a coyote, Adam said proudly, butting in. And who is this little guy? Jiko asked, standing twice Adam's height. Jiko, this is Adam, Dharma said. My son. Jiko looked at Dharma. Your what? He asked, surprised. And my daughter Maya, Dharma said. Jiko looked at Dharma, then Ubuntu. Ubuntu nodded yes. It is an absolute pleasure to meet you two, Jiko said, shaking their hands with his big grimy paw. We've heard great things about you, Jiko, Maya said. Nice to meet you. Wait till you hear the stuff they left out, Jiko said. Then he turned to Anastasia and Ignatz. And the yet littler men and women made of wood? Oh, how could I forget, Dharma said. This is Ignatz. How do you do, Ignatz said. And Anastasia, Dharma said. Nice to meet you, Anastasia said. The pleasure is mine, Jiko said, lowering to her level. Well then, it's getting late. Let's get to the valley. Jiko started walking. He turned, stopping. So then, where's Zephu? Oh, Jiko, Dharma said, bowing her head. On his way? Jiko asked, trying to have Dharma meet his eyes. Jiko looked to Ubuntu with concern. It's just a girls' trip? Jiko asked, fighting concern. Ubuntu let her eyes close. There is much to catch up on, Dharma said. So Jiko led them west. The landscape took an epic turn. Roaming forests, cascades turned to towering fjords, turning the landscape into a labyrinth of megalithic rivers, the sheer rock walls majestic, guiding, revealing scenes the eyes knows not. Rivers turning layers deeper. Jiko leading, iron giant, board of double axe heads bedded in a petrified coarse wood. I admit, Dharma said, this does suit you. 7 now riders turned the corner to a river, crooked, leading up the alley. The river valley found its source from a waterfall at the valley's end. Night was falling, stars. Maya looks around in wonder. The valley glows with golden windows on either side that's scattered in the stone face. Dwellings hewn in valley sheer, line side walls illuminated. Adam spins. In the walls, soft marble, sandy columns, decadent patterns. Welcome, Jiko said, floating, to Dale Triumpuil, the valley of the crooked stream.